Not whole lives. Can we see that on the mic? Of course we can. Yeah. I just feel out of practice being inclusive.
I get it.
And it's like, what does it even mean? Where is the world?
Swap it out.
From conception, form connections to recollections, matter, space, and time, body, soul, and mind, ever and now, it's all around you. Can you feel it? Don't hesitate. Everybody loves. Everybody loves. Everybody loves. Love everybody. Love everybody. It's when the moment when you realize that nothing that got you here is the only thing that gets you out of here. So you make me better, baby. Say I know. So it's gonna be okay. It's better for you. It's all around. Don't hesitate. We living in a time when so many trying to stand to live.
Yeah.
That's just hard for those who play on the scene. You know, hate when hate came to live. About the radio and my favorite radio. Love and above all, much more powerful. The reason in your head's not even flying. Your emotions are living in your head. It's a science that says there's no pleasing on both sides. And in all that, there's a little sides. I'm sitting in the hills of the show. Everybody love. Everybody love. Everybody love. Love everybody. Love everybody. Love. Everybody love. Everybody love. Everybody.
How's everybody doing? Woo! There are 3 people. My name is Nikki Patan. I am the founder and one of 3 executive directors of Surviving the Mic. You are here at a very historic moment. This is our first ever Survivors Revival, and we are super happy to have you with us today. I'll get into later a little bit more about why we decided to do this, and we'll each sort of take our turns sort of talking about why we needed to create this space. But to open us up, I wanted to share a song that I wrote. That is okay.
Yes.
I've not sung this in front of anyone or for anyone, so you guys are the very first. Woo. So give me some grace, because I have not been singing for a minute, but I'm happy to get back into it. This is called Not Broken. Tell me I'm not broken. Believe that I am whole. Heart shattered to my toes. Remind me I am human, not some monstrous spectacle. Tell me to believe in myself, even when I'm not perfect, when I'm doing less than well, and well, I am a poor wretch born without too much to give, but I still give all my everything, even as I'm rejected. So maybe tell me to keep going, even when I wanna stop. Tell me showing up's enough, even if there is no spot for my love, for my dreams, for my hopes, for my everything. Oh, tell me to believe, even with nothing that will prove that my effort will yield something, that faith is worth it too. Then tell me I'm a liar when I curse my face in fate. Tell me I know nothing when I refuse myself grace. So why not choose myself when the world was never mine? Why not love myself? I'm the only me for all time. In billions of years I have never been before, and in a billion more I will not be known. So tell me I have time, and tell me time is running out. Tell me move and laugh and sing, cry and scream and shout. And if I don't listen, still give me all your grace. Wipe away every tear from my dirty, broken face. And tell me I'm not broken. Believe that I am heart shattered to my toes. Tell me I'm still human, then blow the rust off all my gold. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate that. Thank you. We've been practicing in my garage. Still believe in the power of a garage band. So, welcome to the Survivors Revival. Why do this? There are literally probably 1.5 million churches just in like 4 blocks around here alone, right? So why create our own situation? Well, I'll tell you. We, first of all, Surviving the Mic, if you're not familiar with us, we've been doing what we have been doing for next year, it'll be 10 years. For most of that time, we were not a registered nonprofit. Like, we did this off of blood and sweat and love and tears and legitimate sweat equity. This started, I just had a newborn, actually, when I started Surviving the Mic, and my son will be 10 this summer. And so just as an example, we used to run Surviving the Mic from everywhere. Cafes, my house, other churches, all kinds of places. And so we used to to actually run it out of a cafe that I don't think still exists on North Avenue near Western, called Cup and Spoon Cafe. And one night we were here and we were looking very much like this, and we look up and my son, who was maybe 2 at the time, was in the dessert case. And just hanging out, just doing his thing. So just as an example, this has always been very much DIY, very much our love, our blood, our sweat, our tears, making this happen. And so for us, when we thought about, okay, we want to come back to the last program, we were like, we don't want to do just like another open mic, we don't want to do just like another reading series, we want to do something that feels like how our performances feel. And people would tell us all the time, oh my God, this feels like church. In the summer, I had the pleasure of being in Atlanta at Ebenezer Baptist Church, which I don't know if you've ever been there, but y'all should go. It's Martin Luther King Jr.'s church. And I was there doing some work around ending mass incarceration. And Senator Raphael Warnock, his church, very powerful space now. I, for years, my whole life, have self-identified as a heathen. So church is not my natural habitat. Okay, we'll just put it like that. But somehow being in that space, like I was in tears the whole time. The testimony was so powerful, the music was moving and so incredible. I was like, man, God, I wish I could just do this like every week. But I already know that if I keep showing up here, eventually, like probably in like a week or two, this is not going to be a good space for me. So I'm going to just enjoy this for what it is. And then I kind of put that thought to the side. And then we registered as a 501c3, and they said, oh, what kind of 501c3 are you? And we looked at all the designations, and then the one that matched the most was the designation for a religious organization. And we were like, what? What? And we read it, and it was like, oh, a group of like-minded people with shared values who gather together consistently. Yeah, like-minded people with shared values who gather together consistently. That's what that is what we are. And so then we said, oh, well, then we need a service then for ourselves. We need a service for other survivors. Because how many of us have gone to church or some religious space and expected love and expected support and expected understanding or resources, fellowship, or community? And instead, what we might have gotten is harm. Instead, what we might have gotten is shame. Instead, what we might have gotten is additional harm in addition to the harm that we already brought into that space. We might have gone looking for community and found the opposite of that, looking for community and found condemnation instead. And who wants that? Who needs that? Not any of us. So we said, hey, let's do this. Let's do what we do best. And let's gather together. Hi, welcome. Let's gather together all the good elements of what we do best and put it in one place. And so that is how we came to be here at the Survivors Revival. Surviving the Mic as an organization, our mission is that we are a group of survivors. So I'm a survivor of both sexual and domestic violence. I navigate complex PTSD. My other 2 executive directors will come up here in just a second, also have their own identities around survivorhood. And so everything we do has been survivor-shaped, survivor-centered, survivor-led, survivor-refined. If you look and notice all these like alignments that are around here, our rules on documentation, our rules on watching your words, our rules on consent, all of those things came out of survivors coming into our space and saying, this does not work for me. You need to change something. And we said, okay, and we did that. So I'm gonna let both Sante and Moshe dig a little bit deeper into the alignments. But what I do want to say, and I want to point your attention to this laptop right here, is live streaming the service through StreamYard. But because we very, very, very much believe in folks' consent and their right to say, hey, I want to be captured or not, you need your own personal power to determine how you want your face or image out there or not. All you have to do is say to us, can you hit pause if you don't want your testimony live streamed? And I'll just walk right back there and cut it off until we're ready to move on to the next person. So just wanted to give you that sort of tip. There's also folks, give it up for Robert back here, documenting us. You know, there are folks around with cameras, myself included. So again, if you don't want to be in the frame, if you don't want to be captured, all you have to do is talk to us and we'll figure that out. I'm going to stop talking because I've been talking a lot. So I'm going to stop and I'm going to bring Moshe, I love you too. I'm going to bring Moshe Stokely up here. I thought I printed him on a show. I didn't like at all. Like it's somewhere in my phone. So again, this is going to be how surviving microphone is, which is super organic. And as much as we try to be as polished and together, we kind of give honor to the fact that we're human. And so that's how we show up in our full humanity. So Moshe. Yeah.
Moshe Stokely. I'm one of 3 executive directors. I also just want to super hype Nikki. Nikki is the founder, and almost 10 years ago, she responded so quickly to the way that in the slam poetry community, we were having our explosion of Me Too. And Nikki was living in a whole other state, doing a whole other life of brilliance, and then decided to get a grant to bring back to Chicago, since we happened to have, unfortunately, a number of creditors that were like, Chicago is their hub. And there were a couple of organizations that were sort of letting them be as they are. And in almost 10 years, we've done some of the work to get that shaken out. But at that time, Nikki brought 10 of us together to be in community, all at the time, Black identifying, survivor identifying, AFAB, assigned familial at birth, or femme identifying. And at that time, and I think Sante maybe also said this earlier, I couldn't utter the words, I'm a survivor. That just wasn't a possibility. I couldn't even arrive to the workshop without this wonderful human who barely knew me, picking me up from the school that I was working with, doing trauma informed work with them. But knowing that I was gonna go do trauma and work on this one, that was hard. And that transition was truly everything. And so I like to say it and say it 1,000 times, we all think that survivors are in the corner crying. We're not. We like to giggle. We're perpetually cutely frazzled. I think it's a good look, really. I think we should coin it and lean into it. But yeah, when we did our culminating performance, with the organization that funded the 10-week workshop, I was stressed before I got into the band. So I was like, man, it's 10 of us. We all say sad things sometimes. We've all been through the things a lot. It's going to be a sad 10 hours. And it was T-minus 30 seconds, and it was just the most bombastic laughter. And it was a party zone in that car, or that van, all the way there and all the way back. So I feel very honored that Nikki let some of us join the board for the baby version of what this was, and it's grown and evolved over time. I think that the only one left from the yesteryears or the beginning baby times, but we would welcome anyone else who's out there in the StreamYard land and who would want to come back and join the family again. Yeah, so I just want to honor Nikki because Nikki's done so much for so many people, not just in the city, far beyond. So we can just. All right, cool. So I will just say another thing about being church designation a little bit, because y'all don't have to be y'all don't have to come and do a conversion and be like, I am now a part of the Church of Surviving Life. That's not the vibe, that's not the purpose. We have a shared value system. Part of our shared value system is to hold these spaces for y'all. And we also know that there's a lot of intersection with faith and gender-based violence. And for some people that began at childhood and for some older, but what we wanted to do is be able to serve all of the parts of folks, because it's one area where that just isn't, this is barely happening, generally. So we really do want to be able to serve those parts of folks. And if folks feel, 100% I don't believe in God, I don't want to believe in God, but I do like poems, you're welcome here too. So it's about our decision to be in service to y'all. All right, cool. We have a crisis responder who the workshop folks got to meet. If you can just wave your hand for those of you that didn't meet them before. So if anything is making you feel any kind of way and you need support, this is one of the amazing, your first touchstone It's right here. Nikki and Sante are also crisis responders, but we're also all getting on the mic, so we're so grateful to have a first touch point for y'all. And with that, I'm going to perform a poem that is about my mom and me. Love me, and I may love thee. And if thou lovest me not, my love can no wise reach thee. My mom forgets my birthday, but 2 days later, on February 14th, Moshe, did you know you came home from the hospital on the day of the Valentine? You're my Valentine. These days, love notes come by text. Today, I make best kebab. I feliz for you. I don't see her enough, but I hear her in my head while scrolling broken English. It's nice to imagine when she's in a good mood. June! I bargained good deal for lad. She deserves to be in a good mood. Often. But mostly she texts when she fears I might have spontaneously died. There you are. Have you eaten? Text after text. Okay, there you are now. Are you living? When I moved out, her constant calls resulted in my compulsive desire to rationally turn off the phone or irrationally place it in the microwave to watch its circuits boil. But since she's learned how to text, I look forward to hearing from her. Text. Then I can come. My feliz are full. I save August for you. I save Forest for you. Text. Let us pray. And then she will text the whole prayer for youth, because I will always be her Toftare Kuchalu. That. Many times. She sends selfies too, so I know she's okay. She's always sitting the same way in ordinary places. Denny's, because she orders the senior citizen coffee as if it was brewed and discounted just for her. Ada's Cafe, because that place has no idea how many cups of tea Ma will make from the self-serve station. She's like a Persian pocket-sized hamburglar, except she hustles hot beverages. And Trader Joe's, because my favorite sweets make her feel she's with me. If I don't have time to text back, she fears I've stopped loving her. To assure her she's with me too, I text pics of reheated meals with little handwritten notes. Thanks, Mom. Heart emoji. Sending food, our love language, filling the gaps of care from years homeless, with aroma of lemon saffron and sweet fried orange rind. Her rituals, the only everlasting home. I've learned that there's no perfect or how, only ritual and ceremony for each love's promise. Before we lost the house, each birthday my mom put me in the same dress, sitting the same way at the kitchen table for a picture. I wish she'd left the timestamp on in the camera so I could see if this happened on February 14th. The lace of the dress always made me itch, turning my tiny brown legs into the color of Valentine. Thank you. Happens in multiple places, and sometimes we can do that love thing to hit, in spite of the dress. Yeah, anyways, family stuff. Speaking of family stuff, I want you to all hear and see Sante the Great. Sante the Fabulous. Sante the Amazing. And bring you on up, and you can also highlight one of the alignments, and we'll keep it going.
Hello. I'm trying to get folks to the mic. I don't know why I get so intimidated with it. I'm here. So, for those of you who don't know me, I am Sante Harden Tate, and I am one of the co-directors, executive directors of Surviving the Mic. But before I get started into my journey here with Surviving the Mic, I want to give a shout out to Sylvia in the back. Sylvia, raise your hand. Sylvia and I worked at a nonprofit some years ago, and she emailed me and said, hey, knowing my story, we've had like very in-depth conversations, knowing the passion. She said, come to meet with me to this virtual space. And I was like, okay. So I went with her to that virtual space, and I have been here ever since. And one of the things that I appreciate about Surviving the Mic is the space that I enter. Having a place to grapple with, to deal with, to say things that I haven't been able to say and deal with before. And that is what Surviving the Mic does for so many. That is why Nikki is so influential and so important, why we love her so much, we celebrate her, because only a bright light can build a space like that for people that didn't know that they had darkness inside of them in the first place, right? So only someone that can be a lighthouse can make a space like that. So I just want to thank Nikki from the bottom of my heart for guiding us to places that we never knew we needed to be. So, our fearless founder, I'm going to go over a few of our alignments because we did talk about those for a second briefly, but we want to make sure we highlight some of them. First and foremost, we accept everybody. Everybody come as you are, who you are. We love you, we accept you, we see you, we acknowledge you. And so we want everyone to know that if you're in alignment with what I'm saying, I want to hear, okay. Okay. So that's like outside to amen, you know, amen or ashe. I want to hear, okay, you're in alignment with these alignments that I'm going to touch today. I need to hear that, okay, that you agree and we're in that space, in that brave space. Speaking of brave spaces, we do not do trigger warnings here at Surviving the Mic.
But Sante, why?
I'm going to tell you. Because there is absolutely no way that we can say what will trigger a person. All of us are onions, we're layers, right? And what we may think should not trigger someone else may not be the case. And so we want you to show up authentic in the space. We want you to feel that you can be all the layers that you are here. And so we don't do those trigger warnings. We cannot guarantee that you're going to not feel triggered by some of the things that we talk about, some of the spaces you're in, the energy. If you are empath like me, I can just feel things in the space. And so there's no way for us to say that we won't be able to trigger you here. So we want to make sure that we're here on that. But this is a brave space. Not a safe space, but a brave space. Because we cannot guarantee safety here. Because we can't have control over what may trigger you, we can also not promise that we're going to feel safe at all times in spaces and places in the space. So that is why we have amazing people like Dorian, why we have Nikki and I, and we always have a crisis person on staff here to help with the room, to be supportive. We always have somebody here to help you with that. So that if you are feeling triggered, you can take care of yourself. That is what we want. So if you agree with taking care of yourself first, can I hear okay? Okay. Because you matter and you cannot pour from an empty cup. So even if you want to show up and be here with us, you can't do that if you're empty. And so we want you to take care of yourself. Take a step back, breathe, go take a deep breath. If you got a cold go and come back next month, we want you to come back. And if you believe, just not be bothered. We want you to come back. But if this was just too much for you, take care of you first. Because that is what we do. That is what we care about. We care about you, all of you. When you're dealing with your trauma, when you're triggered, when you're hurt, when you're happy, as Moshe said, like we're not all just crying in the corner, we're laughing. We want you to take care of you first because we care about that first and foremost. And one more thing that I want to go over and remind you that all of our alignments are in some way around. I know Nikki talked about some of those with documentation. I'm real big on consent. Now, Sylvia will tell you that I taught consent alongside with Sylvia at that nonprofit, and it's something that I hold near and dear to me. So please make sure that I'm a hugger, so I love hugs. But I want to be asked first. Like, make sure you're asking for consent for everything. Can I have consent to hug? Give you a high five? That. Can I have consent to tell you that you're beautiful if you want to? But ask for mission first as survivors. Autonomy over our bodies is very important. And you don't want to cause additional harm. So please make sure that you are gaining consent to do anything. That includes photos, that includes video, videography, posting, tagging. Always ask for consent. Okay. 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 All right. So, of course, as part of the Surviving the Mind team, and as Moj already kicked off, I have to share a poem.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you don't know me, I try to shy away from sharing my poems sometimes.
You gotta know why. Not today.
And it's not because I think I'm not a good poet. It's just I'm very Erica Badu. Just very sensitive with that. So it's very hard to share it. I'm scared. But you may notice some balloons over in the corner. On Tuesday, I will be turning 40. My people down is broken, as the people say. So I'm going to share a poem I wrote some time ago, just feeling the weight of turning 40. I don't know about other people who have hit milestones in their lives. Sometimes I struggle with looking back and thinking, I'm not where I thought I was going to be. I'm not there yet. I'm not the person I envisioned I would be at 40. When I was 20, I had a whole different idea of Sante. Okay, whole different perspective, right? And so as I approach 40, I've had to deal with that. And sometimes we have to grieve the person we thought we would be, which is a hard thing to do. It's hard stuff. So I wrote this poem as part of that grieving process for me, and it's called Almost 40 and Still No Acres in Me. Being a Black woman is being almost 40 and still no acres in a mule. We don't talk about that part, how the Black woman was never part of that rule. I wasn't promised the promised land for my own. I needed a master's to gain entry. I have been told from the moment of my mother's womb transition that being a Black woman has a playbook, so pay close attention. That it will be tough, coarse, and rough. It was the loudest memory I have from birth. My mother's screams weren't even preparation enough. There is nothing comparable. Being a melanated woman in this world can feel unbearable. But there is no space on my body for new wounds. Targets cover me, leaving no room. Only if I have some cover or protection. But being a Black woman in America means protection. I put mine on layaway, and I still haven't been trained. It didn't matter that I have taken the blame for things that wasn't my wrong, that I have sang the sorrows to every Black man's song, that I have accepted that I've had to be 5 times as strong than any other person on this planet or the universe. I thought I had paid enough. When I suffered in silence, I thought I had paid enough from enduring the violence. I thought I had paid enough from loving others more than me. I thought I had paid enough with all my damn degrees. And I still ain't paying for those dumb heavens. Navians and South Bay with me. And all I wanted to be was what they told me I needed to be to succeed. I am almost 40 and still no acres in a mule, but I have 38 years of experience with brutality and ridicule. I have pride, right? Killing me slow, because if I am bleeding, then can't no one know? Instead, I am performing for high fives. And yes, sis, and wear your crown. And yes, sis, show them they can't take you down. And yes, sis, show them who you are. I am broken. Do I show them that part? Do I show them that I'm always feeling attacked? Do I show them the many burdens strapped to my back? I am almost fucking 40 and still no acres in a mule. I have learned enough yet, or am I still in school? I want my promised land. Give it to me now. I know you can, but you still won't. The promised land isn't for women like me, unless I fall to my knees, because I've only been created for men to be pleased. Yet you tell it Society doesn't like to talk about that. The dominant race is patriarchy. Not black or white, it's people. And most of my community is still in denial. If I am in a room with my husband, some men won't even acknowledge me. Women are not to be seen or heard, and while I know this sounds absurd, still, I recognize being a wife gives me privilege. But not privilege enough though, because I am still almost 40 and no acres of mule. I still have known better. I should have known better. Being a black woman who expected to play the fool and not complain, you expected me to be cool, because being a black woman has little to no count except when it comes to my body. I'm measured by your pleasure. I'm not supposed to be my own treasure, just yours, but fuck that.
Yeah, okay.
I want my acres of mule. I wasn't promised your promised land, being born a black woman, but I will build my own. And the best place for me to start is inside, because that's home. Because the promised land is a state of mind. I don't need your approval to get what's mine. And when I build it, it will be a hell of a lot more than 40 acres in a field. Because I am coming for everything.
Coming in hot on Sunday. All right, so we actually did construct like a 3-part sermon for today, which we will get into. We are treating this like the sacred space, honestly, that it is, because how often do we get to do that? Come up and just claim the space as we want to. Before we get into that though, I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge this incredible space that we're in. Did you guys walk in and feel like you entered a different dimension? Because that's what it feels like. My dear friend and homie from way back, we go back like rocking chairs, Denise Ruiz, right over here, please give it up. She is the proprietress, can I say that? I don't even know if we get the proprietress of the Honeycomb Network, which is an incredible co-working space, as well as an arts exhibition space and a retail space. Now, that part's important because on the other side, you will see incredible books and other healing objects and all kinds of things for sale, including some stuff from the Surviving Mike family. And we have an incredible vendor here today who we want to talk about her collection. So I think we're going to have Trina come up first, and then we'll have Denise come up and talk a little bit about the Honeycomb Network. So if everybody please give it up for, is it Missouri culture? Missouri. Yeah. Everybody can give it up for Trina. Missouri culture. Talk about that. That fabulous smell that she's been smelling.
How you guys doing today? I am Trina. Well, my name is Katrina Bible. I'm sure y'all friends in here, right? So, my name is Trina. I am the owner of Missouri Culture, which is a total wellness business. I am a working practitioner, as well as guided meditation, and I'm a certified hugger, so I love hugging people. If I want to hug, I'm the one. I'm not going to talk about that one. But I created my line during the pandemic, actually. We were all at home and kind of just was stuck in our space, and a lot of times we were dealing with, working from home and trying to separate the work from home so you can actually relax when you're really working home. But since we really couldn't leave that space at that time, I actually started creating my own candle line to really create a space for myself that was separate. Because we were all in bubble. Couldn't go anywhere, couldn't do too much anything. You kind of just was existing in that space. And a lot of us went through a lot of growth during that time, a lot of healing during that time, and it also changed the world and dynamic that we live in, and especially going into masks, wearing masks. I was actually a mask maker during that time as well. Made over 1,000 masks, shipped them all over the country, which was great. Gave me an opportunity to really sell to others as well, and during the time when kind of needed something. So when I created Missouri Culture, I started off with my first candle, which is Chakra Pine, which is a chakra balancing candle. And with that particular candle, I got so many great reviews on it, and I have shared it with friends and family, and I'm like, what do y'all think about this? And that's where my business started. So I just reached my 3 year. A week or so ago. But I wanted to started really focusing my mind during that time attention based. So a lot of my candles are attention based. I do use singing bowls when I make my candles. They're all branded. And I really enjoy what I do. Never would have thought that I would have left a full-time federal job for 13 years, and this is my new life. I always knew I was a healer. Always thought I'm going to be a doctor when I grow up. Never realized that I'm out here doing a whole different path. But I'm blessed with the opportunity that God will open for me. And the doors of paths that were opened up in the process. Like I said, as crazy as it sounds, I'm really grateful COVID did. Not that it did, in that way, but I learned so much about myself and really learned about creating a unique space for yourself where you can cultivate, your own wellness journey, and that's what I do as a Reiki practitioner. I work with a lot of different individuals, mostly women, helping them create their own space and really understanding that they're heard in the space that they're in. So that is pretty much the synopsis of my business. Zuri actually means beautiful wellness Swahili, and that's pretty much it. That's where I came from. That's my business. That's my thing. So I appreciate y'all having me. And give me the opportunity to speak. And whenever y'all get a chance, just come on over, see what I have. I have a variety of different scents. I have a lot of things that a lot of candles online. I have over 158 products online. So I do vending all over the city, sometimes downstate Illinois too, some all over the place. But thank you guys for having me.
She didn't mention her body butters. And I don't know why she didn't mention her body butters, because it is like butter on your body. I love it. She has some of her body butter. She also has some sage over there that I burn daily for the cleansing. And she also has her sprays, which are phenomenal. So check her out. I am a longtime customer. She knows I'm always like, I have candles, I have a buddy, I need some sage. But to her point she raised, and I just wanted to say that I have some really special people in the room. My kids are in the back, my husband's here. But Trina is an amazing soul. I've known Trina since high school. But with Facebook, you lose connection after high school, but Facebook has a way of bringing you back into space with folks. But I ran into her in Joann's of all places. I was getting fabric, but it was at a very tough time in my life, and I was not okay. So I'm in this aisle, and I'm looking at tulle because I have to make a tutu. And someone walks past, and I see her in my peripheral. They come back, and they're like, "Hey, girl," and I was like, "Hey," and she was like, "Oh my God, are you okay?" I was like, "No, I'm not okay." And I'm in this aisle crying and looking at tulle. But when she says she's a hugger, she's true to her word. She walked up to me and said, "Can I hug you?" Which was after my own heart, because she asked me. She asked her. I was like, "Please." And she sat down and hugged me for a while. So I can get myself together to check out with Joanne. So that's the type of spirit she has. So when she says she's grounding her products, it's coming from a really amazing soul. And I really encourage you all to go and shop with her. It's hard being an entrepreneur, so please support any of our entrepreneurs here. We also have a Tina who has her books. So please, please, please make sure that you're supporting. And then come back to the honeycomb. I'm gonna bring Denise up here. So I'm sure when you walk in this space, you have the same reaction I had the first time I walked in this space. And I have not stopped talking about it. Ever since then, like I came home, was like, "Oh my God, Robert, this place is just amazing," and I just never want to leave. And I just want to say, if you live there, but it's just such a welcoming, warm embrace, the energy
feels like healing. It feels like home. Thank you, Denise, for allowing us to utilize your space for us to make this STM's home. And so we want to bring Denise up. Denise, where you at? Okay. Where you at? Come through. Come through. So this is Denise's space, the Honeycomb Network. Denise, thank you so much for allowing us to be here. Thank you. We get here every Friday working, and she is always patient with us, making sure we're getting things done, and we're in so much partnership with other things. Denise is the truth. And so support the Honeycomb, tell everybody about the Honeycomb Network, and we want to give Denise an opportunity to tell everybody about your space. So come through. Hi everyone, thank you and welcome to the Honeycomb Network. My name is Denise Ruiz. My pronouns are she, her, and yeah. I'm the founder. We've been here. We're going on actually like 3 years too, because I got the space in January of 2020, but we didn't open officially to the public until October 2020. So officially 3 years, but like in terms of open house and almost. But I'm not gonna take up too much time because I actually want to bring some really integral folks to the microphone as well to talk about some of the services that we have available in our space as well as today that you can really take advantage of. And so one of the Honeycomb Network is co-working, collective care, and co-creating. Co-working, co-creating, and collective care, either way it goes. So basically, during the week, we have options to co-work, to come in, to drop in and co-work with a laptop, with your sketch pad. We're definitely, as you can see, really about centering arts and centering wellness, centering color, centering sensory and experiences, things like that. So we really encourage for you to come here and think about being creative out of the box. Yes, come here and pop up your laptop and work, but also find space to create, and so we have seasonal residencies. We just opened our spring residency. Who you have around is Kumba Links. I don't know how many folks are familiar with Kumba Links and their work. This is 26 years, and so them and the young people who they work with came in and just revamped and created a space and activated it really beautifully. And so every season we have a different residency, a different resident artist. So you can always expect things to continuously be changing and moving and switching up and just shifting that energy. Then we also have collective care. And so what that means is that we have an in-house mental health therapist, bilateral therapy, and our mental health therapist is here today, Doreen Ortega. She's available. I'll have her come up and speak briefly about her work as well. So please connect with her. So she also runs a collective of therapists out of this space, as well as herbalists, seasonal residencies and herbalists. And right now, our seasonal resident herbalist is Clarissa from WPA. She's here as well. She has actually created a really beautiful curated list of herbs and herb packets up front, and is available for consultation. Having an herbalist and having plant medicine in your life is really a beautiful way to sort of, use plant medicine to ease your nervous system, to ground yourself, to just kind of go back into yourself, into that internal balance. And so she's gonna really be able to help answer questions, especially if there's certain things that are particular to your health and your body. And she's a master herbalist of over 7 years, right? Like how long is it? Like 7 years? Yeah. So definitely talk to her, take advantage of this. As well. And then we have our gift shop apothecary in the front, so that you'll find wellness herbs, you'll find art, different art. We are BIPOC centered, what that means is everyone is welcome, but that's who's centered, that's who's running programs, that's who's on our walls, that's who's in our shop, and our shop shelves, that's who we have centered, and then we bring in vendors. And so it's really important for us to, see ourselves reflected as leaders, as creators, as co-creators, and as important and integral communities involved in self-healing and self-wellness, and taking that into our hands, our own hands, and finding that within each other. And so thank you so much. So before I go, I want to call whichever one. I'm going to call Dorian really quick, our therapist, so she can talk a little bit about bilateral therapy, and then we'll have Clarissa come up real quick and talk about some of the goodies she has up front. And then we're available for any questions, any connections. We also rent the space, so if you ever needed a space to pop up and do an event of your own, please contact us and work it out. Thank you so much. Doreen Ortega. I'm a licensed clinical professional counselor. I actually also started the practice in 2020, so we're all over here with our 30-year anniversary, turning 3 years old, little toddler business. So I run Fly Radical Therapy. It's a private practice that I started in 2020. This would be actually July 2020. Yeah, so this July will be 10 years that I've been practicing therapy and counseling in Black, Indigenous, and people of color-centered communities. Part of the practice and Fly Radical Therapy centers how important it is to love yourself as a person of color, as someone who has been underestimated in communities. And so radical therapy is an approach to therapy that's recognized by the American Psychological Association that focuses on systemic oppression, but also radical means a lot of different things for people. It means that we're looking at the root. It means that inherently we're all good and we learn things along the way. And so I want to share with you all that I'm here today to share space, to create a container in the office that's around the corner, in case you need to unpack, in case you need to consult. I also want to share that we at the Honeycomb Space, as a collaborative, we co-created a youth-centered space in 2021 called the Heal Academy. Heal standing for Honey, Education, and Love. And the center's teaching and sharing space with young people, paying them, so we're really radically investing in our young people to learn about mental health and wellness and to expose them to not just therapists and or professionals, but also other healers that aren't necessarily centered when we think about healers and insurance and healing yourself. So we make sure to center therapists and co-facilitators with someone else who also is a healer within their own right. So we have Liza is actually going to be running our workshop with one of the resident therapists on spirit and utilizing essence of what spirituality means, but also what that means when we think about mind, body, spirit, from a therapist perspective. So we have these workshops actually coming up for you in June and July. So if you do have young people from the age of 16 to 19, we pay them $15 an hour for 5 Saturday workshops, 3 hours each. And they're welcome to apply, so you can learn about that information. We have some affirmation cards for y'all today, and I'll share the affirmation that, I don't know, sometimes when I do events, just think of affirmations as a really important way to, affirm ourselves and continue to love ourselves. So the affirmation is, first, love yourself by gifting yourself radical permission to bloom. So this is for you all today. The QR code has the website, and I'll be here. So thank y'all.
Hello, everybody. My name is Betty Gonzalez, and yes, I'm over on the other side. I've been here since February as a resident herbalist. And maybe just what I'll bring up is the herbs that I'm focusing on right now and how they might be relevant to the theme and the journey of this beautiful event. So really first, I think it's really important to lift up that our primary healing modality that we have evolved with is through the earth, right? And now science gets to keep sharing more facts, scientific facts that are just confirming a lot of really answers we know, which is you touch the earth, you touch soil, and your nervous system suddenly is magically healed, right? You see the sunlight, and if you balance your circadian rhythm, you're going to feel less depressed and less anxious. And there's just we're programmed evolutionarily to seek out the sound of running water or to seek out the colors blue and green, right? It just automatically heals our nervous system, which then therefore allows us to create more capacity for all of the other healing work that comes in later. And so when we're in a city, that can get lost really easily, really quickly. And one of the really great ways for us to sort of shimmy back in there if we're not ready yet to go for a walk every morning or whatever example would be is through herbs. They're so beautiful because they're really tapping into the capacity we all have to heal holistically, body, mind, spirit, all at once. And they're different than pharmaceuticals, right? Because they're working on multiple levels and they come with all these different constituents that will balance out what a pharmaceutical would potentially give us as a side effect. It like comes with the side effect neutralizing constituents already prepackaged. It's amazing. Mother Nature really thought of everything. So the herbs that I'm lifting up right now from the beautiful apothecary here are motherwort. Motherwort is an amazing grounding herb that is very soothing to our nervous system, subtly sedative, like it's a very subtle sedative, not too much, but it helps calm your nervous system. And what's said is that motherwort is like receiving a hug from like a mother bear or like a grandma vibe. And motherwort is really, really beautiful for folks who are healing from any like sexual trauma, healing from any trauma after giving birth, soothing menstrual issues, or healing a mother. If you're missing a mother figure in your life, motherwort, like, it's not like it heals the problem, but like slowly it becomes less vivid. Oh, it's just amazing. And that's what it's done for me. It's been a huge ally for me in my postpartum process. We also have Damiano, which is an extremely revitalizing, energizing herb. It's good for all reproductive systems. It gets your juices flowing, your blood, your lymphatic fluid, but also all juices flowing, and it gives you like fire energy to be able to like get through your day. There's also Tulsi, which is an amazing adaptogen that heals our nervous system and therefore like cognitively balances us as well. So if any traumatic experiences or just like stress that we're experiencing is causing things like brain fog, memory loss, inability to think clearly, or anxiety, Tulsi is really great at healing that while also working on your sort of like grounded heart level state of balance. And it's said that Tulsi is a goddess incarnate in India. It's revered as like this really powerful, divine, sacred herb. And so the blend that we have right now is pairing Tulsi, mixing Tulsi with motherwort and then some rose to just sort of like bring out and reclaim our innate divinity and the sacred that we all have within us. And then the other herb that I pulled out is lemon balm, beautiful, beautiful soothing herb that is very familiar, it's part of the mint family, very safe for most folks and just really soothing to our nervous system, grounding, and very like soothing to our heart center as well. So as you see, like lots of herbs have a lot of physiological influences, but they work on this beautiful spirit level as well, which is a crucial element to any healing process that we're going through. So I recommend you check it out. And there's so many other herbs. If you have any questions about any of them, feel free to ask.
Yeah, so we've thrown a lot at you. There's a lot going on. But that's a beautiful thing because, if you're not aware of who's around you and what resources are available, how in the world can you take advantage of them? You can't. So we talk a lot. That's because we love you. We want you to have that. So let's get into the revival part of this afternoon. And so we thought about, well, what do we want to focus on, right? Like, we're not religious figures per se. We're not like preachers. Somebody tries to call me Pastor Nick now. Not really. Thank you, but no. But we did want to reflect on some of the things that we reflect on as people who are navigating the aftermath of sexual harm. One of the biggest things that I think a lot of people struggle with that is not really talked about is naming. Right? So many debates. When I first started doing advocacy work in the early 2000s, it was survivor versus victim. That was the big, thing. Now it's, survivor feels really loaded. I don't know if I'm a survivor. I don't know if I'm going to be a survivor. That comes with all these connotations in this world of Me Too and Time's Up and whatever. People have constructed lots and lots and lots of beliefs and values around what it means to experience sexual harm in particular. I can tell you just firsthand, as a survivor myself, that a lot of the things that people assume are total bullshit. And they're bullshit because we live in a rape culture, period. In the same way that we have been trained around how we think around Black people, in the same ways that we have been trained on how we think around women or people with uteruses, even the ways that we're taught to think about men, which we're taught to think about any group on any level where everybody wants to sort of brush with broad strokes. Typically we get it wrong, right? And so it's important, for us today, what we wanted to focus on was this journey and this pathway and just this consideration of the word survivor. What does that mean? And so, I went through my own thing with it. People have said some very kind things about me today, which I really deeply appreciate. And I started my journey with all of this as an artist. Like, I have a microphone. As a matter of fact, I have this kind of microphone. This is a Shure SM58. This is the microphone that is used the most on the planet, right? So anywhere that I've performed, New Zealand, Australia, wherever on the planet, wherever I've been, it's been this microphone. And so about 10 years ago, I said, well, maybe I should just get it tattooed. So that way I always have it with me, even if they don't have a microphone. And I say all that to say that I spent a very long time behind microphones and spilling my guts out to people. I just spoke word for a really long time, but it wasn't until I started surviving in life that I could touch my own experience with this, which is wild. I taught teenagers, I've spoken for the United Nations, like all this stuff, all this big deal stuff that people like to make a big deal about, which I guess is kind of a big deal. That happened, but I couldn't talk about my own stuff, and as an artist, that's when you know that you're kind of in trouble a little bit. If I can get up here and I can perform whatever, but it's not really like getting at like the hard stuff. So I had to go back and I had to rethink that. And so this is a piece that came out of it. This is actually going to be in my memoir that drops a year from now. Out of Science Press in April 2024. And this piece is a part of it. This is called Fill in the Blank. And this is sort of my meditation on that journey of even acknowledging that this thing happened to me. I'm one of those people who has a hard time categorizing what happened to me as rape. We all have that image, getting pushed down or pulled into a shadow, clothes ripped off and violently, violated. Any part of the narrative that doesn't fit this well-worn plot causes massive self-doubt, self-judgment, self-blame, victim blame. I kept victim blaming myself, maybe to get it out of the way before others do it. I call that the Eminem method, if anyone's ever seen it. Maybe because the word victim makes me feel like something I'm not, fragile, delicate, easily broken. At 5'7" and well over 300 pounds, these adjectives are not the ones I would choose to lead with when describing myself. Of course, I wasn't 300 pounds in high school, but I was 250 and shy, and awkward, with thick lens eyeglasses from America's Best, and old compact and pressed powder that my white grandmother gave me to powder my caramel skin into tan shock, and clothes that were a mix of the 1990s Lane Bryant clearance rack, been there, and whatever could be found in that same grandmother's closet. I was a hot mess. I was a badly dressed, chalk-faced nerd. I was not fit. So when this muscle-bound junior in my TV production class started commenting on how sexy it was when I applied my lip gloss from a little jar and licked my finger afterwards, I was giddy over it. Though I had been a furious masturbator since I was 11. Might take that as a title, we'll see. This was one of the first times someone had ever flirted with me openly, even brazenly. Looking back on it, I realized he was like this with most women, but back then I didn't care. He was paying attention to me, noticing me and some little thing I did that I never thought twice about before. He would tell me that I was almost perfect. Light skin, light eyes, long hair, pretty face. My only problem, as he saw it, was that I was so fat. Like, this is the verbatim quote. It seemed that that was everyone's perception of what my problem was back then. Not the alcoholic, verbally and emotionally abusive stepfather in my house, not the blatantly racist community I lived in where Confederate flags abounded in schools and on car windows and t-shirts in a little suburb just southeast of Chicago, and not the fact that I'd never met my father and had no idea what he even looked like. It was said so much that when this cocksure jerk said it to me, I didn't even think about it twice. I didn't question him or myself. I was stuck on the part where he told me I was almost perfect and that my face was pretty. We only saw each other in school that year, my senior year. I didn't go out or go on dates at all. My male interaction at that point was limited to dirty chats on AOL and this one weekend where I told my mom that I was going to visit the University of Chicago for the weekend, but actually spent the weekend with his college sophomore that I went on. I don't remember his religion, just that he had to keep his long hair wrapped up, that his brownish golden skin matched my own, that he kissed me so hard that my lips were bruised for days after. When he attempted to do something to me with dry fingers, I just laid there silently enduring his digital explorations, unable to say stop or no or even get a wet first do this. I was still of the mentality that boys knew all about this and that I should let them lead me demurely down the garden path. Oh, God. 17. When we're already in the bed, that is, with Mr. Cocksure, I decided to take the lead to actually get him into my bed. I knew he'd never ask me out. He was the football team. I was honors English. He was rippled young muscle from head to toe. I was jiggly belly and saggy breasts at 17 because I'd been chubby most of my life. I knew he'd never want to be seen in public with me on a date. And I didn't want to date him either for the same reason. He was not that smart. I didn't want to pretend, though, I loved with someone who already declared what was wrong with me. I did, however, want to lose my virginity. The pressure of losing one's virginity perfectly. Candlelight, roses, soft music, and tears streaming down my face with the exquisite ecstasy and beauty of it all was my idea of perfect. And it was starting to irritate me. I just wanted to get it over with, pop the cherry, have a good time, and move on. I told him this over the phone. I told him that I didn't want him to be my boyfriend, but that I was tired of being a virgin. I asked him if he could do me the favor of ridding me of my innocence. I asked him casually, as if I needed the grass cut. He agreed to come over after school one day when I knew my mother and stepfather would be at work. We rode the bus to my apartment complex, walked the half mile to get there, and finally, after a couple weeks of furtive conversation and anxious imaginings, we were face to face. It was the same cliched fury that I'd been reading about in Judy Blume books and dusty romance novels. Before I could say anything, his tongue was down my throat, and he was wrestling to get his clothes off and my clothes off, and both of us horizontal. The bright sunlight wasn't romantic at all, and the shame I felt over my big body eclipsed what little pleasure I might have found in all his fury. I cast a quick glance downward. He was so big that it looked deformed. I closed my eyes and hoped for the best. What I got was searing pain, the latex smell of the condom being stretched. The no screaming in my brain finally made its way to my lips, and I could tell him no and stop, and this hurts, and please. He appeared not to hear me, or ignored me, or heard me and decided that it was all part of the scenario, or just didn't care. But a moment later, he did stop. He said, I can't do this. I keep thinking about Karen. Karen was a cheerleader who was in his class. She was honey brown, with well-shaped, thick legs, and a beautiful smile. Even her memory spoke louder to him in this moment than my actual voice begging him to stop. I felt pieces of latex between my legs. I wasn't sure if he came or not, but I was sure that I was humiliated. I ran from my bedroom and into the shower stall in the small bathroom of my mother and my stepfather's bedroom. I turned into an after-school special as I slid down the tile wall and then the hot water drowned my tears in torn hymen. I watched the water swirl pink down the drain and wondered how I could be so fucking stupid. I expected him to be gone when I came out, but he was on the couch in the living room. He seemed concerned. Possibly about me, but probably more about himself. He didn't have to worry. I wasn't going to tell anyone. Still, he stayed, tried to get me to dance with him, tried to joke and laugh and pretend that nothing was different, that the dynamic between us of shy nerd and popular jock had not changed at all. I tried to accommodate him, tried to move with him slowly around my living room, tried to bring a smile on my face, even though the physical pain and the emotional pain were burning and throbbing. After an excruciating half hour of this, he left. I started to hide the evidence, wanting everything to appear normal before my mom got home. I wrapped up the broken condom in toilet tissue and placed it in a plastic bag, which I walked to the garbage chute. I tried to rinse out my comforter, but there was an ominous stream of blood. I took it down to the hall to our apartment building's laundry room. When I took it out of the dryer, I was dismayed to find one large brown ring that stubbornly refused to fade. I stuffed it into my closet and used a different comforter. I never used the same one again, although I held on to it for years. I would look at the ring, remember what happened, and stuffed it back inside the closet. My mother never saw what happened to that comforter. I still don't think she knows what happened. For days after, I wore black to school and burst into tears randomly. Before he stopped on his own, I justified his not stopping as a function of the physical pleasure he must have been experiencing. I thought he was so wrapped up in the intensity of the moment that my voice just couldn't penetrate, and therefore it wasn't his fault if he kept going, and it wasn't my fault either. Him stopping himself because the thought of another woman was more powerful than my body, and my voice right there underneath him being torn to shreds and me begging for it to stop. And that was more than I ever imagined that I would have to do. I have no idea how to hold my head up after that. I felt not only ruined, but still invisible to him and the rest of the world. I was torn apart, but my pain was a shadow to the sunlight of some other girl. I was full of blood and regret, but he still continued to laugh and joke and flirt, and he and Karen started dating right after that awful afternoon in my bedroom. I've questioned for years whether or not this scenario was real. Even after I facilitated rape prevention education workshops for a rape crisis center in Chicago, where I would tell young teens that it becomes rape the second someone says no, and the other person doesn't stop, doesn't honor their no. I have said this over and over again to people of all ages, but I have a hard time believing it myself. I have blamed myself for years for what happened that day. After all, I invited him over. After all, I wasn't even dating him. After all, I invited him to take my virginity. After all, I believed in the concept of virginity. After all, I never told him exactly what I wanted, which was really tenderness and love, rather than sex. A therapist once told me to have compassion for myself. She tells me that I have to forgive myself first. I make a list of what wasn't my fault in an attempt to excavate empathy. I tell myself that I was only 17, that 17-year-old girls aren't taught to articulate what they want in bed, that I did say no, that him not stopping when I said no was a violation, that him stopping only out of his concerns and feelings indicates that he was capable of stopping, that him attempting to awkwardly slow dance with me afterwards doesn't absolve him. But this was rape. I had the hardest time, even today, even right here, calling it rape. I know I'm not alone in this. This is how rape culture catches us. We're convinced that rape is only rape when the person who has been raped is completely without fault. The minute that the narrative gets complicated, all culpability lands on the raped, and the rapist is absolved. I'm pretty sure that the jock who couldn't stop doesn't see what he did as rape, and I'm also sure that he probably doesn't remember. Facebook tells me that he now lives in California with a white woman and their 2 sons. They look happy, peaceful, light as the skin he once praised me for, his own anti-blackness as a clue to his cool oblivion. I relive this scenario more often than I would like. That is how I know it was rape. I've been writing since I was 7, but I couldn't write about this until I was almost 40. I couldn't classify it as rape until I read and studied and taught rape culture, and even though I can now call it rape, I know that I would never call the police back then. I'm not sure if I would call them today. I know that I would not have been believed. My case would have never seen a courtroom, and I know that I would have been further humiliated. If I knew what rape culture was back then, if I knew that my value wasn't bound up in my looks or sex appeal, if I knew that good grades and writing were enough, that I was enough without male attention, that the size of my body wasn't what made me imperfect, then I probably wouldn't have paid the jock any attention, or invited him over, or asked him to take my virginity. If female virginity wasn't perceived as something to be taken, wasn't a symbol of purity or pride, wasn't the stain on my comforter and a referendum on my soul, that I might not have worried about it so much and been so hasty. If I had been taught to love myself more than the opinions of men and boys around me, then maybe. Then again, if he had been raised to respect the bodily boundaries of others, then he might have stopped when I said no. If he had been taught that women were more than their bodies, then he might have heard my no, might have just been my friend, might have said no when I asked him to take this myth of innocence, and maybe I wouldn't be a 44-year-old woman trying to reconcile a past that offers no reconciliation. If only, then I would have never been raped. It's that blank that I hang on. It's that blank that we are all trying to navigate. All the people that victim blame are trying to fill in that blank. We keep trying to crack the code on rape like we're trying to pull ice. And every rape victim can run the list of clothes and drinks and drugs and dark streets and out at 3 a.m. or out at 10 a.m. or 7 p.m. or at home alone or at his house alone or at a party alone or dancing in a crowd or liking the attention or not liking it. or trying to, or not wanting to be a bitch, or frigid, or impolite, or rude, or mean, all to avoid where the culpability actually lies on the shoulders of whoever chooses to rape. It is a choice. It is a choice to ignore a verbal no. It is a choice to ignore hands pushing away. It is a choice to touch the body of someone who's barely conscious or not conscious at all. It is a choice to keep going when the air smells like blood. It is a choice to rape. It is a conscious decision that is easy to make when influenced by a culture that works on the subconscious. It is a choice with few consequences because the people who are charged with upholding the law have also been shaped by rape culture, and too many of them, for real, I can send you the studies, are rapists themselves. What I know now is that the impact of rape, kind of sort of rape, results in the same feelings of powerlessness, self-blame, and shame. What I know now is that the line between intention and impact is razor thin. What I know now is that all rapists are not monsters. Many of them are our friends, colleagues, relatives, lovers, favorite artists. Many of them have no idea that just because you don't hold someone down or get them drunk or drag them into the bushes doesn't mean that it wasn't rape. I'm sure Mr. Happily Married high school jockey's wife and their family and friends don't see him as a rapist, but when I remember his face, that is all I see. At 44, ooh, I'm a long way from that shy, awkward 17-year-old girl. I mean, I performed on HBO, I've done tours in New Zealand and Australia, I facilitated hundreds of workshops with thousands of people about everything from spoken words and anti-oppression. I've spoken before the United Nations in Switzerland as part of a historic delegation of Black women to address the scourge of sexual violence faced by Black women and girls in this country. According to a study conducted by Black Women Blueprint, 60% of Black women in the United States have been raped before the age of 18, and I am one of them. I fall into that statistic. And I still struggle with complex PTSD despite all my accomplishments. I still struggle with horrific self-esteem and body image. I still wrestle with shame like I wrestled with that job over 20 years ago. For years, I tried to fill in the blank that comes after what if I had never, a million and one ways that I could have done better. What I finally know now is that there is no amount of blame or justice that would have made the ring on their comfort or fate. That the impact of what happened that day is as indelible as blood soaked into synthetic fibers that have only gotten free through traversing the labyrinth of nuance that is the human condition, that the blank can only be filled in with the truth. Once upon a time, I was raped, and now I'm a survivor.
So Nikki explained that we want to have like some education, some spiritual piece, and so she pretty much escorted us right into talking about survivorship. As someone that could not articulate their own survivorship because we put so many standards or stipulations on what that should look like, right? If I'm not bleeding and bruised, or if I'm not bloody afterwards, like what if I, did something to make myself vulnerable in a situation? Is this still assault? And yes, it is. It absolutely is. And we have to hold each other accountable for that. And then we have to give ourselves permission to be in tune with how we have been violated in that space. It doesn't go away. Rape is one of the ways that you kill somebody without actually taking their life. Because the person that they were before, they're never that person again. And so we want to make sure that we're giving you the space to find your survivorship. We cannot determine that for you. We cannot tell you that. Even if you share with us your story and we have similar experiences, we cannot now say that you are a survivor. I cannot, as a survivor, label you as a survivor. It comes from you. We just want to support you wherever place you are in your journey, wherever space you are in your healing, and however you see yourself. We accept you, we see you, and we're here for you. So I want to give Nikki a round of applause again. It takes a lot for survivors to tell their story. It takes a lot to do that. Nikki was the first person to pretty much not pressure, but give me a gentle nudge on being able to give myself permission. One of the things that I do appreciate is it was the first time I was actually able to share my story beyond just my husband and just close friends like Sylvia, because it was just something that I just could not do, because it was also complicated, right? All the feelings, all the emotions, all the who can I tell, who's gonna believe me, now what? But I did this and I did that, I had too much to drink, and so it's really difficult for us to share those stories. So Nikki having that brave space, being an example of what it is for that brave space, really, I hope, liberates some of you in the way it liberated me. But I will share with you what the definition of survivor is. So that if you find yourself in any of these places, I hope that someday you can find your own connection to survivorship. So it's just a person that manages to persevere or to function in the face of obstacles, in the face of pain, in the face of adversity, and still continue. That's it. That's it. So it took for me to find my connection to survivorship by looking it up and just getting the definition of it, because when we hear it, it sounds so much bigger. Like, I'm supposed to have a ride to this destination in this place. Like, if I'm a survivor, this means that I'm healed and I'm on the other side, but some days I'm crying. Some days I'm triggered. Some days I'm happy and I can forget. Some days I can't. Sometimes it's a smell. Sometimes it's an experience where I'm transferred back to that time. So, as you are a person that are still functioning in spite of obstacles, adversity, pain, you too will find yourself connected to being a survivor, but in your own time. So I want to thank y'all. I'm going to have Moshe come up now, because I think we have something we wanted to do. I don't know if it's back with us, right? We want to do that. And then we want to bring Charnel Lane to the stage. Now, Charnel is also part of the Surviving the Mic family. She is on the board. She is who we call our poetic storyteller, and she too will be sharing some work. And then we want to open the mic up for anyone else that wants to have a testimony, just share. If you have words, if you have poems, like, come through. Like, we want to hear it. Or songs, if you want to sing. You know, I love a little karaoke. I'll sit up here and do Erica Badu all day. Like, come get your shit, right? But we want to give y'all some time to also share with us, be in community with us, and this is your space also. So we have something for Nikki. Are you ready? Any more time? Okay. And Nikki, because you always celebrate us, Moshe and I wanted to celebrate you some more. You can't listen. You want to listen to me about these balloons? You gonna take all this love, okay? With your permission. No, consent. Yeah, with your permission. Okay. Yeah, there you go. I got it.
I'm plugged in, but I don't know.
I don't know if the projector's on.
It doesn't seem perfect.
It's gonna be.
Is the cover?
Oh, there it's green. Now it's green. Is it hitting?
No, seriously, it doesn't work.
I don't think projector. I mean the screen. There it is. We gotta focus it. Motion. Or maybe Robert, I have to come in and focus it.
Yeah, it looks like it's this one. So appreciate everybody's patience. Yes, next. Caffeine.
Also, while we are situated, we want to also tell you about some of the great things that we have. So we have our community altar over to the left. If you want to light a tea tree candle for someone, your ancestors, a loved one, or someone you want to honor, please feel free to partake in our community altar table. So we do have that. We do have some amazing flyers over here from some more events that is about the mic have coming up. We have a performance on the 8th. If you were enjoying our poetry, or if you're not, still come anyway, because maybe you want to try it the second time around, right? So we do have flyers over here, and then just a reminder that we also have our vendors over on the other side. Feel free to buy things. If you can cash out, Venmo, there's alternative to cash out. Did I say that already? I probably said that. I'm flying without coffee today. So feel free to partake in the things. We hope we'll figure this out. Yeah, it's kind of long. It's really kind of long.
And figure out a way to ask about that. How big it is. It's mostly small.
Pretty good.
Can't go? Do?
Where is the
We'll make it happen.
Can we just sing?
Oh, yeah, great.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear. Happy birthday to you. Okay, the no date. And now, yes.
Okay, so Nikki, please have a seat.
I have, you have a seat.
Wait, what? No. This is what it is.
Of course it is, but it's actually not about me. Because I'm a double agent.
Oh, hey, did somebody make a call for a birthday suit? Sante, it's your birthday! Sante, I have such a long list of reasons and things and heartfelt and practical and all the things that I could be saying about you right now. But for this moment, I just want to say that it is really special and really remarkable the quickness at which I've been able to learn about the truth of your spirit and feel capacious to trust you as a coworker, to trust you as a friend. You're an awesome mama. It is really exciting and wonderful to now all of your family as of today, but it's been really exciting to see the different parts of who you are. And I just feel like this is the beginning of the rest of your life. Happy birthday.
There's not, I mean, I don't have the words to express how wonderful you are, what a great friend you are. I'm so happy that we connected. Although years later, we are finally at a place where we get to know each other more, just being able to check in every week. Happy birthday to you. Hope that you have a wonderful day. And all the things that you need and want in your life will come to you this year. You have to do that into existence because you know what I mean. I love you so much. You are my son, Kenny. You know, you got lots of films and I'm grateful for that. But you know, I love you so much. I hope you have a wonderful day. And I hope that we're able to get together sometime soon. Have a great day. Love you.
Sante, Sante, Sante. I love you so much. You are such a pleasure to work with. And I know you've been trying to, break out of what you would normally do and forge on, and you have done that so wonderfully. I'm glad that everything worked out with the organization, and I'm glad to work with you. I'm glad to see your power and you start to accept that and use that to move forward. Your talent, your writing, now your leadership. It's going to be a great ride. I love you so much. Happy birthday.
Sante, I appreciate you so much. Ever since I have been able to be a part of the Surviving Life family, you have left the impression of being, you're like the warmth and the sweetness and the nurturing of like fresh baked bread. Just so wonderful to be around, so joyful and so really powerful, like the current under the lake, just moving further and faster than expected. And I've always been so impressed. The more I learn about you, the more excited and grateful I am to be in community with you. And I want to thank you for everything that you do, everything you do for SPM, and everything you do for our communities. You're a badass, and I'm excited to be in this with you.
Hi, Sante. I just want to say happy birthday. It's been so lovely to be able to get to know you through Surviving the Mic. It's truly, truly a gift for us to be able to have you on the team. The way you bring your authenticity and your trauma-informed care is something that we greatly appreciate and love about you. So hope that you have a happy birthday and that it brings all of the joy and love that you've brought to our team.
I just want to tell you that you're this amazing person. You're always prepared me, you always have looking out for everyone, whether you're related or not. You always put people before yourself. Which I just want to tell you that you're gonna win, and I feel you always work for that. I think that you're listening to get you can turn to yourself and kind of just think about what you've done. Think about all the people you've made happy. Think about all the things you made you proud. I just want to tell you that you're really amazing. My mom is an amazing and talented leader. She's been doing amazing so that she could be the best mother she can be. All the ups and downs in my life, she's been there to help me. When I wasn't feeling at my greatest, she was there to reassure me that it's okay. And I'm very grateful and very, very proud of her. It might not always be perfect all the time, but that's just life. And I'm very grateful that she didn't realize that. So, I decided to say this message to say thank you for all you do, and thank you for the 16 years of my life that you've been here.
To my amazing wife, I am super proud to be able to call you my wife and to watch you on a daily basis show the thoughtfulness, the passion, the desire to want to help others, have conversations that are can sometimes be uncomfortable, but you have it in a way where you make them feel comfortable, you show them that you care, and it is truly amazing work. I'm just so glad that I'm able to see you and watch you show that passion each and every day. And soon, very soon, the rest of the world will be able to see it too. I love you.
Dear Sante, really happy birthday. Wishing you lots of love and a really big hug. It has been so wonderful to see your journey with Surviving the Mic, and I feel really happy to be in this shared space of family with you. I have felt so embraced so openly by you in just the couple of years that you've been with us. And I really hope that you know how special you are. That's something that you have an amazing skill to make other people feel. And on your birthday this year, I hope you know how true that is about you. Much love, and I can't wait to see you soon again.
Sante, we're so excited to celebrate you. Happy birthday. This is why I was running a little bit late, because I had to get you some balloons so that we could celebrate you in proper fashion, as is befitting of the amazing human being that you are. We love you. Happy anniversary of you. Don't be mad at us. We needed to make it funny. You are loved, adored, and we're always going to celebrate you every chance that we get. Mwah.
You can't have church without no video made by the community.
Out of nowhere, so I'm just like, I need to reevaluate how much I do around.
Thank you guys for joining us in this love affair, love fest.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Big hugs for everybody. We're gonna keep moving. Where are we at? I feel like I stepped into like a time.
I was just looking for the list. Where did our testimonies list go?
Okay, great. So can we just move right on into that? Is that cool? Chanel, are you cool if we live stream you? Yeah, is that right? All right. So I'm ready for my photo. I love it. Everyone, this is Chanel Lane. We've gone clearly very informal, just like actual church. We've gone very informal this afternoon, partly because as I'm sure you can tell, we really love each other. Like we really do. And it's not like I don't know, like sometimes you see somebody at the same place often, and like that's where people from, but no, we have real affinity for each other. And part of it is because we help each other grow, and we also lift each other up. And it's where maybe the rest of the world is trying to do that. It's important to have to be in the life that would do that for you. And one of the people who has been just a staunch, just integral part of surviving life, incredible writer, already published books, artwork out there, owns her own company, just killing the game on so many levels. Oh, yeah, you. Oh, you sitting right next to me, right? You the person who I don't know. Why would I don't know? Why you sitting right next to me? That just feels a little. It feels a little not okay. I'm trying to be okay with everything today. That feels a little not okay. Okay, so can I continue? Yeah. Sure? Because I stopped. No. Go ahead. Okay, cool. All right, I'll just check. Okay. So anyway, this brilliant community next to me has created so much powerful written work, performance work, products, spaces, reading series. I can't even count all the ways. And we as Brother Mike would not be what we are without her. So everybody please put up for Chanel. Oh yeah. You gotta be in the frame. Oh yeah. So you might not be like writing it, but okay, cool. Y'all can hear me? Yeah. Check one. Good afternoon, church. You're loud. Okay, so actually,
Surviving Mike is very important to me. And I remember when I met Nikki, I had got interested in the Surviving Mike program. On Facebook, I messaged her like, is the program wheelchair accessible? And she was like, yes, and we started talking. And then I went past arts and public life because I literally live a block away. And I was like, hey, I want to learn about this space. Went in and was talking to this wonderful young lady. And we talked, and then we looked at each other at the same time. And I was like, Nikki, she was like, Shirley, this is the person I had been talking to. I was like, hey. So I did this poem for her. This exact poem I'm about to read. And it like kicked off our career together. So this is called For Little Girls Who Consider Suicide When the Silence Was Not Enough. Shame, shame, shame. I don't wanna go to Auntie's house no more. There's a fast old man at the door. He'll grab you by your hips. He'll kiss you on the lips. I don't wanna go to Auntie's house no more. For the sweet little girl, so innocent and trusting, who was raped by her loved one because he was so loving. Shh. This is our little secret, he said, wanting her silence to cover the scandal. So she kept the secret for as long as she could handle. Finally, she gathered the strength to tell someone she trusted, someone who cared. The words came flying out like water from a faucet. She felt as if her pain was fading, like releasing would stop it. Then the person who cared, the one whom she trusted, laughed in her face and looked at her disgusted. How dare you, the person said, as they shook their finger in her face. Lie on your own family. You are a disgrace. Don't you ever speak of this again. For as long as you live, I can't believe things of which you're accused. That little girl grew up 10 times that day. But the more things change, the more they stay the same. No one to protect her. She must protect herself. But how can she, with the hand she's been dealt, as she holds a blade she wonders, will this pain be worse than the pain she's already felt? She wants to give up, but she has to be tough. This is for little girls who consider suicide and the silence. The family member wouldn't be the only one to take when he pleads. Growing up, boys, we talked her with ease. She repeated what she learned on him from the boys at school. Her name became synonymous with the term loose. At first, she would stop. She wanted so bad to be good that they would remind her who had been under her hood. She would let them partake because, to her, it was only fair. If everyone wanted it, why shouldn't she share? They would say, shh, keep it to yourself. They didn't want their friends to know. Everyone wanted the fun while they were in it, but no one wanted to make this new world. She didn't say anything, but the silence